you can,
Detecting a storm
I don't know, try and create your own path.
Well, we'll say right off the bat here, we do have quite a nice even build when it comes to the dropship, some priority towards some of those higher POIs, like the stacks, also available for early rosters that do start off towards the bog or hollows there. Going to point out, of course, the global UAV has reared its head here once again. That's going to be some extra information for just about everybody when it comes to starting off some of these fights.
That's great. Global UAV. I was actually thinking about this earlier today and going, I wonder if we'll get global UAV and what that looks like in the show matches, because it provides so much important information that you normally actually have to path around. So it completely removes one regular aspect of how you plan your path, how you engage with the strategy and with the literal objectives on the map here in SUPERVIVE.
Well, for JMO, they'll be in our Ion Acres to start things off here. Like I said, looking to make a name for themselves, especially within this match alone. And it's these early starts that I'm most interested in taking a look at. Of course, for most of these teams, they won't be able to itemize themselves just yet. But getting to the breaking point when we talk about the level advantage before you take into these fights is obviously some of the most important parts. And when we talk about the northern side of the map, I was already starting to see some of that pressure. So having this free access is a good place to begin with.
Having to move all the way to the west, I was wondering what the Ion Acres path would look like, and it seems like they should just be booking it maybe into Chaos steps, unless they want to try and pick a fight, because remember, that global UAV is information that everybody has to work with. That includes Hog, who are down in the south end of the map, knowing that they've got a team right next to them. They're not going to choose to pick a fight just yet, and if they were to have one thrust upon them, they do have high ground to work with.
A little bit of the buy and boss there for a moment ahead, even though on the other side of the action, we've already gotten some of our first knock. Treadsy, a name that you wouldn't expect to go down here, and the follow-through from the rest of the Looking for Soul roster has been absolutely excellent. It will be small recoveries, though, not a complete wipe, but already looking good as our potential favorite for North America show match.
The fact that Aiden got out is so good, because things were looking difficult there. Now, it's really nice, of course, for Soul to be able to grab all this loot towards the top side of the map, as well as the kills with it that have given them a lot of experience, but they're still going to have to be moving south in the next little while, and I like that they're using the information they got from Global UAV to actually mirror this path that Aiden took, cutting him off as he retreats into Dawn Caps, and unfortunately will have to come back down, so there's a chance that Soul can pick up more points and more kills.
It's the chance for recovery here just for now. Sandwich will get the full allies set within themselves, but this kind of reset can be quite punishing in the early game. We talk about getting to those power spikes, and even still, Looking for Soul, they're more than happy to continue to play a Southern Gatekeeper to, well, early zones here. They already have major advantage to be found, and we'll see if they continue to push the pressure here. Meanwhile, we move on.
Iffy, already engaging, but does back off. Bishop providing a lot of mobility. It'll be Tato that really determines when this fight kicks off, but ult's not available yet. Does make this a lot harder for really anyone to take a fight and stick with it. Kingpin, the only person that can really secure picks at this point in the game, and Tom is searching for one.
Looking for that Kaiju grasp to start this fight out. It is some good moves back from Passion Fruit. Unable to really sustain it yet, but Niza more than happy to follow this one through and continue to apply. They're going to push this over potentially to the keep here in just a moment. Double stun, but as I've said many times before, it doesn't force the issue yet. Even still, though, Ido deep in forward, launches right past. It's a bit of a split here.
We're looking for ults, so if knocks come in, there's always a chance for things to turn around very quickly. Spadestorm does jump into the back line, but immediately that gets punished. Everybody from BC starting to back off. A spike is disastrous. Tom Kick, remember, the big engage for this squad has now fallen, and Tato on Oath is the only thing standing between his carries and death. The void below them. In comes Spadestorm. This looks like it's going to be a nice finish for PF. It's he and Meaty on one side, and now it's just turning into an unfair fight. There is too much of a numbers advantage for PF, and Meaty's going to be chased down.
And this is particularly disappointing when we talk about the history of this roster and recent changes coming through here. Was just a day ago we were looking at, well, what was subs, and at least for now, Mithy will be able to recover, get back to the camp, and even potentially look for full allies here. So for Bad Comms, the journey isn't done just yet. Even still, though, looking for Soul, still taking themselves to the action here. Follow through there. Looks like they do find the full drops onto Dolphy and Major Pleasure. Has to be careful, though. Nika still looking on the other side.
Yeah, JMO was searching. I was really surprised to see that go poorly for Bad Comms in the south side of the map. They got a really early soulbound tech helm, which should provide them a lot more tankiness, but didn't quite work out. You can see a respawn going off for them has just gone off on the train by Prisma Falls, so they should be able to make their way into the southwestern side of the map in the next couple of minutes. I think they're going to stop by, loot up for a little while, in the same way as looking for Soul are doing, albeit looking for Soul have had a much better game so far, as it seems like every time we cut to them, they're finding kills.
Remember, taking some of those early fights can provide huge benefits when we talk about the shards and the changes that have come through as well to really power up potentially solo targets for any one of these rosters. So for them, it's early action. And now for Bad Comms, as they are put together, the Biome Boss secured in its own right. A little bit of the grass found on the other side. Anti-heal, though, just means it's time to go in, and even still, Double Stun found out, looking lower and lower. Slay barely is caught out in their final moments. A leap across, doesn't find many spikes, but a 3v4 advantage looks good for the Bad Comms roster.
Slayer looked so good keeping Slay alive, but now in comes the big engage from Bad Comms. Out comes the Oath ult, and this should be it for Charlitas. Leonardo's being chased down, and we get a full team wipe. Bad Comms from the res on the train here, now finally picking up 4 kills.
Finally time there for them to make some of these recoveries, and I want to point out we are starting to see some of that epic itemization come out for both Niza and Tom Kick there with the full upgrades as well. Wish I recognized them even better, Dia.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got time. We've still got a few days. I was writing everything out this morning, and we'll have to practice a little while later because we've got another engage kicking off. TRB completely split right now, and I'm sorry, there is just no escape from this. That's a nice spike by Spadestorm, and I mean, it was a forced error. You really can't jump out into the void there and expect to live.
Interesting to see with Passion Fruit there that I do worry about the potential rotation. Might see some action to be spared between them and Bad Comms with the tightest of rotations from almost all of our rosters. It really is just the single too many Lunas alone there in the keep for now. Even still, Orsoul looking to casually shut down a separated Treadsy. A beautiful spike will force the remnants of Sandwich to pull away, and Bad Comms could be looking for the pinch.
The three-way fight as
the
zone closes in. Mana Coils. Bad Comms have complete dominance over the bridge. Kaido keeping the team alive again on Oath, but Niza is again out in front, now completely split as Bad Comms take the engagement on the other side, do find a knock. Somehow Niza is alive, but as I say that, he does get knocked, and everybody's going to be shuffled in with this zone. I'd like to see Bad Comms actually come back in a really nice grab. Yes, manages to make sure that this res does go off. Niza back with the team, healing albeit, but in goes Ew and takes him down.
Separated though, Tom Kick and Teldo looking potentially for the recovery. It's a good move from them to get the Bad Comms roster, and this is the second time now we've seen this interaction. And ooh, the follow-up maybe a little too deep there. Tom Kick looking, but no further separation. Just trying to see if they could get the full pick off and truly punish out the Bad Comms roster, because guarantee they'll be back in it. And yes, a small nod to Sandwich there. They did survive. They are but the one left to potentially feed.
So we don't drop another team. We don't drop another team. And we've got the chance, especially as these zones get a little bit later, for you to pick up things like Most Wanted and maybe even a res in Catacombs. That's not just the plan for one squad, though. It looks like Spadestorm encountering a bit of trouble. Maybe all they have left them as well. Glider not going to be used until much later.
Wow.
And Spadestorm, what an escape.
Jewel, one of the slipperiest, the surge there in the end, allowing for the opportunity to just barely keep them on the map here. And you can see Ashen is completely separated, so even if this goes terribly wrong for Spadestorm, it isn't that bad. I like the delay of game, and with that next surge, they find the knock on to Dolphins. It's a 1 versus the universe, but finally, the spike down from Jack does secure that wipe. And like I said, Waterblaze more than further away. This Zephyr able to potentially find that revive in just a moment. We know the south side of the map completely open, and instead, that knock might actually come back to bite JMO. Dolphins is brought up in the last moment, but it doesn't come without the trade here.
SND start moving up. They didn't have high ground initially, and that is an ult used now that isn't really going to benefit them. Spike onto Major Pleasure does mean that this Felix is going to have to head for the hills, but gets spiked on the way in. It's happening a lot, Zephyr. A lot of spikes going on in this game, and I think we're going to see another one just now. You staying alive on the Stalker has gotten so aggressive this game. Is going to pick a fight. Does have backup from Freeren, comes in to support you, dipping and dodging out, but into the center of SND. Now has Snood on the way. Emergency platform gets used. Aiden still in the game and finds a hook. Rex manages to stay alive. Rex somehow making that work, and SND picking their battles, making great use of the emergency platform, have a small numbers disadvantage, but could still take this up against LFS.
And they tried to go in, util available, but of course the ice crash there makes it difficult. There with the Kaiju Grasp does pull Frexus forward, but I don't think it's as dangerous as you could assume. Fearon from the other side finding major damage onto Dark. And reminder, it is the Jewel, so the dashway always available. Finds that one, of course, with the full surge. And it is for 2 on the escape for Sandwich. And I'll tell you what, they just can't catch a break. It was moments ago we were looking at single solos, now having to fight for potential revives out to the east there. For Bad Comms, doesn't look like it's gotten much better in terms of response for themselves. Left up to Teldo as the final one remaining. Just barely hovering around the fuel there. Going to use the shield to block out from Sinoid. And, of course, our friend Logic dodging the spike, yes, but just barely as Logic to dash forward with, of course, the surge. Bit of the Earth Shatter expended to find at least the one knock. And hey, Bad Comms might be saying to take a hike here.
Teldo's actually doing so well to survive on Oath. I can't believe that he's managed to outplay, and it's for long enough that JMO have now come in. Teldo goes back across, accidentally sandwiching himself, and now JMO, who come in from behind, may be able to finish off Bad Comms. Teldo getting very, very confident and perhaps a little bit too far. You can pick a fight with 4 people. I don't think you can pick a fight with 8.
Such greatness snuffed out here, the flame unlit, and what could have been potentially some opposite recovery. I will say, though, Tom Kick and Mithy were able to put themselves back together, and it's enough time, though, to dissuade. Teldo doesn't have to go for full recovery because he knows in about 10 seconds he gets this roster back up. It's going to be Mithy trying to sustain this out just a bit longer. They just need 5 seconds on the board here to keep this one running and gutting. Tom Kick pulls it off, dashes out and away, and Bad Comms, for all of the pressure they've built up, are back within it, but the armor is removed. There isn't any kind of sustainability, and they're right in the face of Sandwich, who they themselves just got themselves back to put together.
And now Hog get to turn on to this as well. Full items, full armor, and Bad Comms in trouble here. Ethereal Smoke does buy them a chance to reposition. Meaty sticking around the back, and everybody respecting, especially on Hog, that they don't have full information. Fernie sitting up top does have high ground to keep an eye out on everyone, and Bad Comms are making a lot of space given that they have very little to work with.
I know, no armor, just off the revive, going for the push against Hog. Love the separation of Teldo here on the side. That might be the shield broken, yes, caught out there. Tom Kick unable to find the grasp, and those are 2 major tools you no longer have available. Push and return, Mithy caught out there. The ice crash expended over on the side from Fernie. I don't know if that was completely the best decision there. Didn't find it in the Earth Shatter in response. Doesn't find anybody, but it's enough to cut the distance here onto Fernie. Caught with but just one. Barely does Niza miss the final expansion of the cannon, and they'll at least pick up 2 there. A bit of a separation, though, from Mithy does leave me worrisome, as that is a recovery of but 1 for Arba, and now it's just the third party. Not much to say on that.
I mean, both teams Bad Comms especially knew exactly what was happening here, knew SND were in the area and still picked the fight, and the fact that they did actually nets them a victory. Yes, they've lost one with Mithy being down, but you've still got a chance for recovery. You've still got most wanteds to pick up in later zones, and right now, look, they've got the whole north side to themselves while everyone else is smashed together onto the western side of this ring.
Let's take a look and see if they can play for that side. And like you said, the western side of the rig, Catacombs, high priority. We do get to discuss a little bit of the souls there. Potentially for full revive. Looking for soul. Pulling the Kaiju out here for just a moment. This could be huge for the late game. Not a team you want to be handing this one off to.
Good touch of speed for Frex, especially in late game fighting an open area. This is going to be super helpful to keep looking for soul alive and mobile. They are going to have to start moving, especially around the next ring. But for right now, everybody's chilling, and check it out. Bad Comms have picked up yet another chance to revive. They grabbed the most wanted, as we alluded to, and now they're going to get Mithy back into the game.
Really nice Storm there. We get to take a look at some of the itemization. A bit of the Mind Blade in play, of course. Greed as well on the board. Surprising to see that one in its own right. Not something I particularly expected to hold priority, but for now, Sandwich, of course, in the head of many fights. A direct one, not something we've seen yet. Hog on the middle of their chase, though, caught out. It will be full wipes there, getting a little bit too aggressive from JMO, and as a result, Hog eliminated, of course, but Sandwich now looking to clean up the final member here of Jack.
JMO's myth. Playing really forward. Jack has done well so far, but after missing
anti-heal
a step through the wall, doesn't get to escape. That's a nice finish. 5 squads left now. And SND do pick up that squad wipe. They're northmost in the ring and have to move into the zone. Looking for Soul are going to try and wrap around behind them. We may see these two teams fighting over the smallest bit of land and island to the north end of the zone.
Well, this is the fight that we almost saw kick off here just a moment ago with Sandwich. A bit of the nuke to pull for pressure, and for looking for soul, they practically just give themselves the opportunity to choose their rotate when it comes to this next one, and of course, take a bit of advantage of the loot to go alongside it.
Looking for Soul don't really need that much more. Most of their stuff is upgraded. Boots, of course, are going to take a little while. Mithy gets back into the game, and Tom Kick goes over the wall at the same time. Bad Comms, I think that was it. We identified it as Zephyr. That was the Bad Comm, but they pick up yet another most wanted, and with 2 minutes on that, I don't see Looking for Soul pushing this. What I do see is Bad Comms maybe getting a chance to pick up Hog, who is ratting behind them.
Always the opportunity, and spotted out by Niza. No, not quite. A bit of
sitting in the bush.
Shadows there, yeah. Completely safe to say. Surprisingly, just barely keeping this one alive. Now, notably for Hog, not eliminated. Bit of a mistake on the call there earlier on. Just barely managed to get out of the action. And I don't know how much better that looks there. Sandwich themselves. They also have some issues ahead when it comes to how they might transition across, but even still, Storm looking in their favor. All they have to worry about is the follow-through from any one of these teams potentially looking to take this one away. That's why you see them as split as they are, expending, well, what could always be the opportunity to down off a spot.
I do really appreciate how much space they're controlling here as well, especially if Treadsy, who with Celeste can control so much ground, can just keep this island safe. It gives you plenty of time to look for kills on the other side, something that Adam is already doing. On Felix doesn't have to get away and will do so, trading things out with Darken, giving them the chance to heal up. It's just a lot of pressuring onto TME, who you don't want to let take up any more space than absolutely necessary. Bad Comms, however, pick a fight on the other side, and it's Hog who got back into the game, who are now on the verge of going out of it. They do force Bad Comms away, but Hog inherit a terrible position, the terrible position that Bad Comms held earlier.
Hey, I'll take a terrible position over just being one there. It's a massive trade on the crown, and that will shut down Bad Comms potentially. Like you said, bigger things in store for Hog here. They got to figure out their next rotation. The Earth Shatter does push back, double stuns to be found, and a Kaiju grabs on the other end. Too many Alunas are caught with their pants heads down, nowhere to go. A quick ion cannon from Nyza secures the deal. And for bad comms, when things are looking worse, well, maybe they'll continue to get worse. They're caught out by another grasp from Aiden. This man just doesn't miss when it comes to the Kingpin. Even still, though, it's the perfect opportunity for Hog in all of the chaos and all of the action to somehow make it to the north, make a complete swapped position, and take some dominance in terms of the storm.
From one of the worst spots, Hog have made this transition happen. They've even cut off Looking for Soul, who are now their biggest, I dare say their only threat right now. Sandwich committed way too many resources to the south side of the map with everything that happened after bad comms, and now Looking for Soul, they're going to need to make a push happen, and they don't have a lot of tools to do so. They don't have a whole bunch of engage. The only thing they've really got is the summon Napalm to be able to cut off a little bit of ground.
I do worry for Hog here. You've got the full pressure of Sandwich, always potentially an issue, moments to head here. I know it's good positions, but it's not good enough yet in terms of late game. Full recovery from bad comms. They need to make moves forward here. Finally, a move ahead from Looking for Soul is quickly capitalized on from Arba. Send the Ice Crash forward, and it will be pushed away from a wall sustain. An Ice Crash in response, and for Sandwich, they're more than happy to come through from behind. Watch bad comms, though. They're not a part of any of this.
They literally forced that fight just by threatening Looking for Soul, and now it's only Snood that is left alive. South side of the map goes right back into bad comms. Should be able to pick up the wipe. Snood is going to fall to their death, and it leaves us with Sandwich and bad comms. We've got one more member of Hog, Arba, on the northeast side, and a huge kaiju grab does start things off. Aiden does get away back to the team. Hog start to make their way in, and bad comms still have plenty of room in this circle. Arba under almost no threat as well, and on Myth is one of the only hunters that can make this happen, getting into the zone very late and using the wall as defensive cover.
Bad comms do have options here for this cross. Trying to see how they might go. A huge chunk of investment into Nyza, though, with the Harvester. And one more that I just barely missed out there on full legendary. That's the remnants of your damage. But, whoa! All right, Sandwich, they might be looking twice as good. We get a bitter check of the Harvester. The intensity on one side there as well. The Helm of Giganticism to give the extra oomph to Aiden. And it's a tough matchup. And Aiden, oh, he'll start off with a big pull forward. Teldo knows he's got to follow up Earth Shatter to find the double stun back, but it's far too low. Even still, though, the Eye of the Storm, maybe to give just some time for Sandwich to work with. Even still, deep will bad comms go. They'll try to find this, a nuke to separate the fight in half.
Arba's looking for the last kill on Sandwich, being chased down by Nyza as well. Hog are still looking for every kill, every point possible, and they are ruining bad comms day. Arba gets away over the wall again, constantly pitting these two teams against each other, and it's bad comms and Sandwich that have completely swapped places. Sandwich now with just two members left. Darkin gonna use the surge to get back into safety on this island, but Tom Kick jumps in. There's no way for Sandwich to survive. Eye of the Storm does buy Darkin a little bit more space. Nyza chasing him down, and it's just Aiden that Arba is looking for now on the other side of the wall. Arba gonna try and get over, gets punched into the storm. Everybody follows up on Aiden, and bad comms from shutdown in the early game to a res on the train to 3 most wanted reses. Managed to find a win in the end. Zephyr, what a miracle.